Good morning, everybody. I'm Sandra Mangini from the Houston Food Bank. Welcome to our Cooking with a Cause class brought to you by AARP and Houston Food Bank. I have a message from AARP, which I would like to read to you. And it's thank you for joining this free virtual class, the last of 6, Cooking for a Cause, brought to you by AARP and the Houston Food Bank. This class aims to teach you how to cook healthy and tasty dishes from around the globe, and to call attention to the need to fill empty pantries. Many of those pantries belong to older residents, which the Houston Food Bank supports through donations. So right now we're going to get cooking. So I have brought to you today what I wanted to do for the very last one, especially for the holidays, is comfort foods with maybe more nutrient dense ingredients. This one really isn't so much about all over the world. Everybody has got their customs and their holidays, and I am going to touch a little bit on a few customs throughout the globe. So instead of the food being the focus as far as culture, it's going to be more just some of the holidays and things that we do. I'm going to start first, though, with the one, I'm calling it the one large strawberry orange pancake. I went through different names, but that's what I ended up with. It's very descriptive. You make it in one pan and you pop it in the oven. So there's no flipping and there's no having to do it individually. So I really like this recipe. You can vary it with lemon, with blueberries, with blackberries, with a lot of different things. So let's get started there. And the reason I want to do this first is because it has to go in the oven for about 15 minutes. I'm dropping things. I'm always entertaining, right? So, this first recipe has white flour and wheat flour. This is one of those swaps that I was talking about. We have a handout. It's going to be called, I think it's called Simple Holiday Swaps. So basically, you're just taking one ingredient that might not be as nutrient dense and adding to it some more nutrient dense ingredients. So for example, I'm using 3/4 cup white flour and 1/4 cup whole wheat flour, which has more fiber. So that's what we mean by nutrient dense. It bumps up vitamins, minerals, fiber, that kind of thing. I'm not saying take out the white wheat. I'm just saying let's bulk it up with nutrient dense ingredients. So I'm going to put the 2 flours in a bowl and just mix it up a bit. So one really key thing with baking is when it has wet and dry ingredients, it is important to do it separately. Some people, if you mix it together, especially with pancakes, you may over mix it and it will affect the end result. So I always do my wet and my dry. Baking is very precise, and you always pretty much want to read the recipe ahead of time and know what you have and know the instructions. A lot of people, I cook a lot off the fly, like just shoot from the hip, but not with baking. I pretty much measure and I follow the rules. Otherwise, I come out with a flat pancake. So I've added the flours. I'm gonna add the salt, and something interesting, not all salt is created equal. Finer grain salt tends to have a saltier taste than coarser grain, or like kosher salt or coarse kosher salt. So be aware that you may have to add, if you're substituting kosher for say fine table salt, you may have to use more. So just make sure that you look it up, or you figure out what kind of salt you really want to use. It's different when you're finishing a dish just for flavor. That's very different than with baking. With baking, I use fine so that it will dissolve faster. I'm adding baking soda, baking powder, sugar. This one calls for some sugar. And we're going to add, I'm using the pumpkin spice blend because I like it, but you can use just one of the ingredients that it's in there, like nutmeg, cinnamon, allspice, whatever it is you like. I've used this recipe with just cinnamon, but I'm using pumpkin spice blend this time. So this pretty much are my dry ingredients. We're going to set that aside. I like to use a whisk just to mix it all together. You could use a sifter if you had one. And then what we're going to do is add our wet ingredients into this big bowl. I've got an egg, which we're going to beat first before I add anything else. The biggest danger with pancakes is over mixing. So you want it lumpy and not too mixed when your end result before you bake it. I'm adding some melted butter. And if it's really hot, make sure that you maybe temper it first with some some of the buttermilk or some colder liquid so that you don't stick the straight hot butter. Mine has been sitting there for a bit into the egg so it doesn't curdle. We're going to add buttermilk. I love using buttermilk. With this, I'm adding a tiny bit. It's about 1/8 cup of water. And then I today decided to use almond extract with a touch of vanilla extract. You can use regular vanilla, but play around with extracts. Extracts are a wonderful way to add flavor without adding sugar and salt and other things. So I'm doing almond because I love the almond strawberry flavor profile combination. So we're adding that. And then to it, I'm just going to zest 1 small orange. You could add the juice instead of the water, but I probably wouldn't do both. I did that when I was experimenting, and it did definitely, the batter didn't come out the way it should. So, but I like the zest. The zest tends to have more flavor than the actual orange juice. The orange juice has more of a balancing flavor balancing component. So I'm using about, this one is really more of a medium sized orange. Okay, we're going to do that. So all you want to do is beat that all together. And what I've done before I mix everything, I've taken what I call, it's kind of a half sheet pan. It's not perfect in its dimensions. You could use a cake pan, but I've sprayed the pan first with some baking spray, and then I put parchment on it, and then I'm spraying it again. This really helps for the whole thing to come out once I'm ready. Okay, I'm going to flip it later onto a cutting board. So we're going to add, so I'm going to add, let me do something real quick. Let me get rid of this guy. And I'm going to just take out the whisk and use a spatula just to really quickly mix the wet ingredients into the dry. I make a little bit of a well in the middle and just stick it all in there. And all you want to do is just do it until it's actually mixed. It's okay if it's lumpy, as you can see. Just don't over mix it. You just want it to be incorporated, but nothing major. You can, you know, have the lumps. It's okay. I know. So, and
there's a quick question from Rogine.
Sure. What's the question?
When to use kosher salt versus sea salt, or neither? And use regular salt.
You know, what's interesting is you can have kosher salt that is sea salt. So with this, it has more to do with the ground, if it's fine versus coarser. So most chefs, professional chefs, use kosher salt in almost everything because it has less of the sodium and the salty flavor. Sea salt, a lot of those Himalayan, those things are really finishing salts, so to use at the end, like when you're trying to heighten a flavor. But salt is really more about flavor balancing than making something salty. So it's kind of retraining your taste buds to really think, okay, do I really need this salt? Is it more, is it balancing the sweetness? So salt in this recipe, what it does, it's not going to make it salty. It's going to bring out the other flavors, the orange, the strawberries, and the sweetness. I think that answered your question, but I'm not sure. Does that help, Rogine? So you see, it's lumpy, and we're going to put it into the pan real quick. We want to get this in the oven. And so it's going to be a thin layer. It's not a huge layer. I will tell you something. So as I was playing around with these ingredients, the first time I made it, I was laughing. I had old, flour, old baking soda, and old baking powder. And that really makes a difference. If you're about to do a whole big batch of baking, check how old your ingredients are, because it really affects if it will rise or not. So what I'm doing right now, I want to see if I can show you, is it's really thin and you're spreading it. I'm going to top mine with the strawberries. You can mix it in, fold it in before you put it in the pan if you want. But frankly, I like mine more on top than inside, but it's up to you. You can do either one. So let me go ahead and So many things can happen in baking. And I'm going to take some of my, I'm using frozen strawberries because frozen strawberries aren't really in season now. And frozen, when they freeze any kind of produce, it's frozen at its peak. So it's usually an excess of, you know, fruit or vegetables, and it's at its nutritional and flavor peak. So I'm just putting some of these on top, and then I will bake it. I really, this is messy though. You could use blueberries. Blueberries go great with lemon. Blackberries go great with lime. And really, they all go great with any of those citrus. But if you want to change it up, you know. And I'm just kind of spreading it a little bit. We want to get this in. Okay, so yeah, the first time I did it, I cracked up. So I had to go out and buy new ingredients and redo it. And it was double the thickness. It was way thicker, it tasted better. And okay, sorry guys, let's see. I think that's plenty. So I'm gonna pop this in. I'm gonna set a timer. Oh, one important thing, you always wanna bang your pan, get some of those air bubbles out. So I'm gonna stick it in the oven 7 minutes, then we're gonna turn it 7 more minutes, okay? So I'm gonna put a timer on, bear with me. So, let's see, timer, where are you, timer? 7 minutes. And I'm putting 15 on the oven just to be safe in case we need a little more. So I'm using my timer and my oven. Okay, move all of this, and we're gonna get to the next recipe. And while we cook the next recipe, I want to tell you some fun, interesting facts. But first, let me get everything over here. Here we go. Make some room. Clean as you go. Clean as you go is a major culinary school concept. They want you to always clean as you are preparing recipes instead of leaving it all till the end. Okay, so I have 3 pans here. I'm doing this a little different. If you have a panini maker, that makes it so much easier, but I'm creating my own. So what I'm gonna do for this is the green melt. I like to call it that because it's pretty green on the inside. But basically it's, again, we are building some nutrient-dense ingredients into a basic grilled cheese sandwich. And so what I'm using is spinach, broccoli, some onions, you don't have to use all of this, but you can flavor it up how you want. Some garlic. You know, I like to use sharp cheddar cheese because it has more flavor and you can use less than if you try to use a low fat or one of those like a very bland cheese that I can't think of one right now, but like Munster, I think is not very strong in flavor. So use the cheese you like though, of course. And what I'm going to do is I wanted to show you a little trick. I love those bagged vegetables because for one person, yeah, they're more expensive, but for one person, it's the right amount. If I buy a whole big, you know, head of broccoli or cauliflower, I end up with just way too much for the most part, unless I'm prepping it and freezing it, okay? So you just kind of have to use what works for you. But what I love about these is that you could just steam them quickly. So I did that. I steamed some of the bagged, about half a bag for this one sandwich. It's probably going to be too much because usually I do a half a bag for 2 sandwiches. So, and I chopped it up. And what we're going to do is first, we're going to saute. So I'm going to use a little bit of olive oil. The spray is for later. Warm your olive oil in that hot pan. And we're going to saute some onions and some garlic, and then we'll saute the spinach and the broccoli in that, okay? This is great if you have a leftover, you know, vegetables. So in your recipe, you'll see I also created a white melt, a red melt, a purple melt, and then other ways that you can enhance the flavors of your grilled cheese. But this concept kind of came out of, it's kind of like a broccoli and cheese melt, but I add spinach too to add some more nutrient dense vegetables. You really don't even taste it if you don't like, you know, certain vegetables. You don't like spinach or whatever. Okay, let's see if the pan wants to get hot. You all know I have issues with this pan sometimes. Hold on. It'll get hot in 1 second. So I'm going to go ahead and add the onion and the garlic. And let me find spatula, and we're just gonna saute it a bit. We may end up, depending on how long this takes. Whoa, did y'all see that fly off my plate? It was a piece of onion. I may start the soup. The soup really takes like 5 minutes. It is one of the easiest things. It's something I used to make for my kids when I needed a very fast meal. It uses a lot of ready-made things, but you can bulk it up with, again, lots of nutrient-dense ingredients. So this is starting to saute, and yeah, let's let it go. I'm going to grab the salt and add a pinch of salt just to speed it up a bit. If you ever know you need to speed up water boiling or something, just add a pinch of salt. It helps. It also brings out all those flavors. All right. And in it, I'm going to add the green onions as well, because I forgot. Again, you can eliminate any of these. You can just use one vegetable. You can use onion powder and garlic powder. It really is more about just getting some bulky vegetables into your grilled cheese. Okay, so we'll get this going, and I'm going to go ahead and add the broccoli. So I don't know if you notice, I tend to use sliced onions in a grilled cheese. I just like the way they caramelize and everything, but I'm using chopped right now, mainly because I had chopped up an onion for the soup as a topping, and I had all this onion left over, and I thought, you know what, there's no point in wasting and opening it, cutting up another onion, and just because it says sliced. So never be afraid to change the recipe. Very important, right? Okay, so this guy is sauteing. I'm going to add the spinach, and I'm going to transfer it over to my oven, to my stove over there, because it does work a little bit faster. And then we're going to start the soup. Any questions? Anybody? I'll be right back. Let me stick it over here. And we have about 1 minute on the pancake to flip it over, but let me get the ingredients for the soup. So whoa, this is very heavy. Give me a second, I'll be right there. Here we go. Sorry, this pan is so incredibly heavy. And we're going to be making, so what I was going to tell you before we get to the soup is for the grilled cheese, I'm using a grill pan. And what I like to do is I have a cast iron skillet that's clean, and I'm going to use that as my press. So you can use anything. You can also just press it down with a spatula. It really, really doesn't have to be anything fancy. You don't need a panini maker. You can always make grilled cheese. This is going to be fun. You can always make grilled cheese in just a regular pan. Just press it down, So as that's cooking, over here, I'm stirring it. This oven, this stove works a lot faster. Okay. Let's let that go. Okay, I'm going to leave that there for a few minutes and go ahead and get to the soup. And 1 second. We've got 9 seconds on flipping the pancake too. Before we do the soup, let me tell you a few things. So I think the holidays, one of the most, sorry, let's flip the pancake first. Not flip, turn. Sorry, not flip, turn. It's starting to look really good. And it smells, I wish y'all could smell it. It smells so good. I really like these pancakes. And I am not a pancake person. So I'm just turning it around so it gets even heat. And we're going to put it in for another 7 minutes. All right. Almost there on the spinach. Okay. Anyway, what I wanted to tell you is, so the holidays can be a very stressful time for a lot of people. So you have to check in with yourself. It's really, really an important time, probably more than other times of the year, to check in with your state of mind, your physical state, and your emotional state. So I wanted to just give you a few tips on how to, I guess, keep your wellness in check and in balance. So as far as eating, I would, when you go, especially like if you, well, this year we're not really going to parties, but people, bring you baked goods, they bring you, or they send you a lot of, yummy things that might hit our stomachs a little bit harder than normal. So you may want to start, say you have a holiday dinner, start with the vegetables. Start with a plate of vegetables, a salad, some of the crudites that sometimes they put out, like carrots or celery, mainly to take the edge off of your hunger. So it's a really good technique. The other thing you want to do is eat very slowly when you do eat your meals. And I am going to talk about mindful eating towards the end of the class, but there's an exercise there that you can do. It's really about checking in with your body. So, and I'll talk about that in a bit. Also eat throughout the day. Don't just eat if you know you're going to have a big meal. You know what? Eat throughout the day. It's way better for you, for your sugar levels, for all parts of your body, but also for the fact that if you eat throughout the day, when you get to that holiday meal, you're not going to overindulge and make yourself sick, because God knows I've done that many times. Keep moving. Some, housework is moving. When you put on some music and dance while you don't have to dance well. It's okay. I don't. You clean, put on some music and you are moving, and it's important. And it can be 5, if you have like scheduled type of exercise, you don't have to do a whole hour. You can do 5 to 10 minutes. It has been shown that 5 to 10 minutes of movement increase your mood. So very, very important. Learn to say no. My biggest problem. Learn to say no to any kind of request, but also to yourself. When you really feel bad, I've gotten into the habit sometimes when I think, oh my God, I guilt myself into not doing formal exercise. 1 second, be right there. Okay, looking good. When I do formal exercise, guilting myself because I didn't do it. It is okay to say no one day. Your body needs rest, you need sleep, and you need not to stress yourself out. We really have stressed ourselves out in the last few decades with exercise and healthy eating. All of those things are really good in moderation. Meditate and stretch. Stretching is a wonderful way. Again, it can be 5 minutes, it can be 1 minute, it doesn't have to be a formal meditation. You sit and take a couple of deep breaths. There are a lot of free apps out there now that I use one. I cannot remember what it's called, but I use one pretty much daily that I don't pay for, and it's got like 2 minutes and 5 minutes and 10 minutes, and it really helps when I'm feeling anxious, and it helps when you're feeling tired. Stretch, just do a few stretches. It doesn't have to be, again, anything major. Something that I think really helps me when I'm stressed out is creating. And my creation, of course, is in the kitchen. That's just what I love to do. It makes me happy. It makes me happy to bring it to you. And so it boosts my mood, especially during the holidays. And last but not least, of course, talk to people. Talk to neighbors, talk to family, talk to friends. This time of COVID has really, really stressed how important it is to, even if it's on the phone or in a virtual call, really important. But anyway, let me see if there was anything I missed. No, I will give you a copy of the holiday swaps and a copy of the mindful eating once we're done. Let me go back and get the spinach real quick. Everything's happening at once today. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to put the pan right here. I'm going to go ahead and start the soup, and then we'll do the grilled cheese at the end and finish the pancake too. So let me see how I'm going to do this. Give me 1 second. I need like 5 tables. I have 3 tables right now, but I need about 5 with all the stuff that I bring. Here we go. So I use this recipe, again, was born out of necessity to do something fast. I love chili. This is a soup, but you can reduce the liquid or add more beans and vegetables to make it more of a stew if you like a thicker type of thing. But so what we're going to start with is I have some, low sodium, already made stock. You want to make it vegetarian? Make the chicken stock, vegetable stock. Don't put in the chicken, and you've got vegetarian. The flavor's still really good. So I'm adding the stock. This is literally just pouring a bunch of stuff into a pot, bringing it to a boil, and plating it. I'm going to put in already cooked diced rotisserie chicken. So if you could use canned chicken. Doesn't have to be you know, rotisserie chicken. Any leftover chicken or canned chicken works just fine. So I'm going to add that in there. There's really no order to this, even though I don't know if I said there was an order. I'm adding a can of, what do you call them, North white beans and hominy. Hominy gives it that masa flavor that you would normally have maybe in one of those, I keep thinking of something I grew up with, which was the Alarm 5 chili package, but it's that flavor of the corn, but it also gives you added fiber. So I'm adding that. The kicker here, I'm adding 2 teaspoons of cumin. You could also use one of those like Mrs. Dash blends, you know, that's Chipotle blend, something like that. It always has cumin in it as well. So I'm adding all of that. I'm going to add the last, use an already made green salsa. This one is one I found in the frozen section that I wanted to try, and not in the frozen, in the like a deli section, you know, where they have the fresh salsa. So I'm using a tomatillo fresh salsa, but you can use a jarred one. I've done it with jarred, whatever I have. This was just a good reason for me to try something new. Then a big bag of spinach. Give me 1 second to check on the pancake. All right, looking good. So I am going to take the pancake out and we're going to let it sit for a minute while we get the soup going. Because it says to let it cool for about 5 minutes in the pan. 1 second. All right. That's it. So you want that pancake to sit for about 5 minutes before flipping it onto a cutting board and cutting it. So, all right. So now I'm going to add a big bag of, I'm using baby spinach. I love spinach. I had extra spinach from the sandwich that we're going to make. So I'm not using a whole bag right now because I've cut the amounts by half of what it says on the recipe, but you can use a whole bag. This wilts, it looks like a lot, but it wilts very quickly. And so yeah, it seems you're getting a lot of greens in this recipe. Actually, in both of these recipes, you're getting a lot of greens. So I'm going to mix it, and then I'm going to take it to my other stove so we can do the grilled cheese, hopefully on this stove. Give me 1 second just to give it a good twist. We're going to keep that there and take it over here. So while that's happening, I am heating up my grill pan, and I'm going to turn this guy off because this is already done. You see the green vegetables we have here? This is what we're going to plate inside our grilled cheese. So the first thing you want to do is, if I can find, here we go, some olive oil. We are going to spray the grill pan, and we're going to assemble, hopefully give me a sec. My fire alarm doesn't go off. It's right above me. So we want to make sure that doesn't happen, right? That would stink. I'm going to open a door real quick. Here we go. The fun of live TV, right? Live videos. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm warming up this grill pan, and I'm going to spray a little bit of more oil onto my bread and put it down, face down. I'm only making 1 sandwich, but I made the recipe for 2. And I'm going to, on the bread, I'm going to go ahead as it's cooking. You can do it off the pan if you want to. Is put some, I like mustard a lot in my grilled cheese, but you can use, oh my God, you can use pesto, you can use mayonnaise, you can use ketchup, you know, just a little, it's just a flavor enhancer that goes well with a lot of things. So I'm spreading it on here directly. And then I'm going to add a slice of cheese to each side. You can do just 1. I'm doing 2 today because I'm hungry. I don't know about you guys. And then what I'm going to do is add the vegetables onto one side. Am I missing anything? No. Oh, the cheese, a little bit of Parmesan cheese also. So I'm putting a little bit on both. Actually, I'm going to put it on one side and then we're going to flip it. Here. It'll be easier on this one. Can you hear it? It's sizzling. There's nothing better than a grilled cheese sandwich when you're hungry. I'm adding a little bit of Parmesan. So sharp cheese and Parmesan, other cheeses like Manchego, aged cheeses like Gouda, things like that, an aged Gouda, really do bring out flavor, and you don't need to eat as much when you do that. So I'm gonna go ahead and close this sandwich. I don't know if you can see it. And now I'm going to put my cast iron skillet, but you don't have to do this. You can weigh it down with something. I just press on it because honestly, for me, if you can hear it, it is grilling. It's grilling, right? Do that for a few minutes. And it might be a little uneven. It's gonna be beautiful. A couple of things I wanted to tell you as I do this is holidays are so interesting. I was doing a little bit of research, and you know, so many holidays have come out of some sort of rebellion or some kind of pain, or you know, some kind of pain really, and it's come celebration, right? So hold on, flip this guy over real quick because he's getting all lopsided on me, but that's the best part of it. There we go. I smushed him too much. Anywho, so a lot of us know about Christmas, but there's so many different holidays throughout this time of year. Hanukkah, as we know, it came out of a rebellion, the Maccabean rebellion. Kwanzaa is another one of the holidays that has come, that is, I believe it's from the 26th to the 1st of January. Hanukkah varies, so that's why I didn't say a time. I think this year it's from the 10th of December to I wrote it down, to the, looks like it's the 18th. Yes, the 10th to 18th, 8 days. Kwanzaa, it came out of African-American harvest style, like, what do you call it? Festival, that's what I was thinking of. Boxing Day, when I was a kid, I thought Boxing Day had to do with boxers, but it's actually the day after Christmas, the 26th, and it's just the second day of gifts, but it was really a focus for people in need. And so I think one of the traditions, and it does vary throughout countries, was that, hold on, gotta get a plate out. One of the traditions is when you know how the collections at churches and services, they collect money, and so that was the day they opened it and then gave it out to people. Y'all, this grilled cheese looks really, really fun. I flapped into a little too much getting excited about talking, but I think it'll be great. So I'm gonna let it cool a few minutes before I cut it. I'm gonna leave it over here a second. Let's turn all of this off before I burn myself down. And get that out of the way. Okay, good. So, but that's what Boxing Day is. I wasn't sure. There is the Japanese, their absolute favorite holiday and most important day of the year is New Year's Eve, and that is called Omisoka. Fiesta de Guadalupe is a Mexican holiday, and it came out of, I think it was in 1531. The Virgin Mary, the story goes that the Virgin Mary appeared to a peasant named Juan Diego, and after that it became a celebration. St. Lucia Day is, or St. Lucy, is in Sweden, and they do a whole festival of lights. Yule is from Germanic descent, and is actually the original origin of what we know as Christmas, the version that we know today. And in Spain, they do one of the more important days during the holidays is January 6th. It's Three Kings Day, or Los Reyes. There is really an interesting connection between that and the Mardi Gras cake. So in Spain, they have this, we call it a roscón de, just a roscón, I don't know. And it looks like a crown. And so the idea is they hide two gifts in it. One is a king or a baby Jesus. I've seen both ways. And then a fava bean. And so when you cut into it, whoever gets the king gets to put on a crown, and they're going to have luck for the whole year. Whoever gets the fava bean gets to pay for the cake next year. So all these traditions come out of so many, I just think it's beautiful, and I'm sure I've missed a bunch. But another one that's really interesting is how the Dutch celebrate Christmas. So they're actually give gifts on December 5th. They put up their tree on December 7th. Their Santa Claus comes by boat and rides a horse. So the kids put out carrots and sugar cubes for the horses, and they write a poem for Santa. And instead of giving candy canes, they give chocolate coins. So it's just beautiful, beautiful stuff, right? Let's go check on that pancake. Hold on. All right, we're gonna flip it. I'm gonna bring it over here. I want you to see it. The other thing. That soup going. The soup isn't going to. There we go. All right. So I'm going to show you the pancake. It is one big pancake. The idea with this is you cut it into about 8 pieces and you got 8 pancakes. They freeze really well, up to 2 months. And I think if you refrigerate it up to 4 days. And so hold on a second, I'm doing this backwards. I'm just gonna take this, I don't wanna burn myself, and I'm gonna flip it over. And so it's not gonna stick because we got all that parchment paper. And I'm gonna flip it twice because I like the top side, the side that was cooking open. I like the way it looks better. So I'll show you that in 1 second. Whoa. Falling everywhere. All right, I have my llama. That's my llama cutting board. And I'm putting it on the bottom. We're gonna flip it back over. And I'm gonna show you real quick what it looks like. So it's one big pancake. So you can also, if you don't like your fruit cooked, just make the pancake without the fruit. So just make it as one big pancake and you can sprinkle your fruit, raw fruit on top, chopped. That tends to be my preference with pancakes. I like the bready part first and then the fruit on top. It just really depends on you. So I'm gonna cut a piece. I actually need to cut it over here, and then I'm gonna bring the grilled cheese and we're gonna finish everything off, including the soup. So let me cut it over here. I'm gonna bring one piece over. Oh, it's so beautiful. All right, the soup is off. Here is our pancake. And the way I like to top it, a little bit of maple syrup, and I put the syrup on first so that some other toppings can stick to it. Really, really easy. I like crushed almonds. Again, I told you I like my almonds with my strawberry. So I'm putting some crushed almonds on there. And my indulgence, a little bit of crushed dark chocolate. So you don't have to do any of this. You want to bulk this up a little bit with more fiber. You can add like a tablespoon or 2 of flaxseed, ground flaxseed inside the batter. You could also add different kinds of nuts and seeds like that. Let me get my soup, and I'm going to plate that for you too. And then I will bring the sandwich. So where's my ladle? Lost my ladle. Oh, here it is. All right, coming back. All right. I'm gonna make it a little bit on the thicker side, just because I like it a little bit thicker. Get some more beans in there. Okay, so here we have the soup. I'm trying to see, make sure you can see it. There we go. And what I like to top it with, I gave you some suggestions of the things you can top it. I love the big pancake, looks so pretty. It is pretty. You can do whipped cream. I would do whipped cream. I just didn't have any. I didn't have any whipped cream. I'm going to add, I like these baked blue corn chips. They give a really nice flavor. I'm going to put a few of those on top. My preference is a little bit, again, I had sharp cheese. I had to actually cut up a slice because I had no shredded, but shredded always works well. Just a little for flavor. I like a kick of jalapeno, fresh cut jalapeno. You could add some cayenne to the soup as it's cooking if you don't have jalapeno and you want a kick, or Tabasco or something like that. And I love to put fresh chopped onions. That's why I had chopped onions versus sliced onions for the other recipe. So let me get all this out of the way so I can bring over. So we have the soup. Oh, I have so many papers. We have the soup. We have our pancakes, so a breakfast, a dinner, and one more thing. I'm cutting up the and here you have the grilled cheese sandwich cut up with nice amounts. I actually didn't put as much green as I normally do. I pile it all in there, but I didn't do it for this one, but you can actually see it. I smushed it too much. What else did I want to, there was something else. Oh, I wanted to tell you a little bit about mindful eating, because I know there's a buzzword out there. There are a lot of buzzwords happening in the world with yoga and mindfulness and superfoods and things like that. So it's, a lot of these things have been around, you know, eating foods in moderation, eating at a table. Mindful eating is really one of the practices is eat at a table, you know, try to focus on your food versus trying to multitask. And, you know, I'm very bad about cleaning up and eating lunch, you know, standing up. So I've been trying to be better to check in with my body. One of the reasons you want to do that is because if you're multitasking, you're not checking in to see what your body needs. And so in this handout, there's a really neat hunger scale up at the top. And it basically goes from starving is a 1, the way you feel, right? So starving, feeling weak or dizzy, to 10, feeling stuffed, feeling sick and in pain. And then there's a sort of continuum of variation from 2 being very hungry, low energy, stomach grumbling, to 9 being extremely full and very uncomfortable. So pretty much you kind of want to stay, when you do eat, between neither hungry or full, which is a 5, to what we would call 80% satiation, is like a 7. So it's full, completely satisfied, and won't be hungry for hours. It's really kind of where you want to be, satisfied and comfortably full. Under that, this is all on the second page of the document that you're going to get, is a practice eating mindful exercise. And I really, really do want to emphasize how important it is. It kind of feels weird when you do it by yourself. I've done it with my daughters before, and it can take literally 30 seconds to 1 minute. You don't have to sit there for an hour and torture yourself, but it's about finding a quiet space, checking in with your body, observing what's going on, taking one bite before you go on, and really noticing the flavors, the smells, the texture, what you're seeing, checking in as you eat, and then reflecting on what you're eating. You know, I love to give gratitude now, especially when I eat a meal, and how fortunate I am to have a meal. So, but a couple more things, let's see. Well, that's pretty much it. So you'll get that document. I think nutrition-wise, I did want to focus a little bit on some of our typical holiday foods. You know, we feel like we're eating, quote unquote, I don't like good or bad in terms with food. I like nutrient dense or not as nutrient dense. But some of the holiday foods get, you know, bad press for being bad, right? So, or less nutrient dense. But I want to focus on 4 things that actually we use a lot during the holidays in the US. Cranberries, and cranberries are loaded with, all of these are loaded with antioxidants and anti-inflammatory. Cranberries have vitamin K1, which is great for blood clotting. Sweet potatoes have magnesium, which is been correlated to decreasing anxiety and depression. I have actually personally witnessed that in my own body, because I have been magnesium deficient, not knowing it. And as I boosted it up, I did notice lots of benefits, per my doctor's suggestion. Got to get that in there. Pumpkin, very high in lutein, and lutein is great for your eyesight, along with vitamin A, and it helps prevent sight loss. So lutein is really important for that. Green beans are loaded with vitamin A and C, so good for your eyesight. Vitamin A, vitamin C, great for your immunity and your skin. So I think I packed all the information I wanted to in this. We do have a few minutes left, so I can take some questions. Did I forget anything? Anybody have any questions? I can look at the box right now. Let me see.
I don't see anything in the box. right now.
The Super Chef Award. Thank you. Thank you, Carol. Does anybody have anything they'd like to add? I have had so much fun in these classes and the last few months, the 6 series that we've done. Hope to keep collaborating with AARP. I am going to, let me just say one thing. Thank you for AARP for collaborating with us the last, I think it's been 3 months. Thank you to all of you for coming and joining me. Thank you for your patience with, some of our technical mishaps, for the fact that this is live and things are happening in there and here and opening the door and all these things that happen. I've really, really, truly enjoyed it, and I want you to have a wonderful day. I'm going to stop the recording right now, so please stay at the end for our grand prize drawing. Do you want to stop?